Well, good morning or good afternoon to everyone, depending on what part of the country you are calling in from. While everyone's getting logged in here, I'm going to do some housekeeping information. And first, I'd like to welcome you to the Finance of America Mortgage Non-Delegated Correspondent Lending, made easy with Finance of America. My name is Ginger Bell, and I will be your host today. And with me today, I have Garrett Griffin. And before we get started on the webinar today, I want to let you know that you can ask questions. We will be taking questions today. We also do have the slide deck available for you, and you can look in your chat box. And there is a link you can click on and download the slide deck from today's webinar. And if you do have any questions, then you can type them in the question box that's located on your Zoom panel. So let's go ahead and check and make sure that you all can ask questions and know how to do that. We are using a little bit different platform than what we have become accustomed to in the industry, and that is Zoom platform. We really like it, and it does provide for us to have more of you all attending our webinars, which is great, but it's a little bit different, so I want to make sure you know how to ask questions. So if you can type in either your chat or your Q&A box and just type in, "Hello, Ginger, let me know what part of the country you're calling in from." I actually am located today in beautiful Portland, Oregon, where it was, oh my gosh, a balmy 93 degrees yesterday, unheard of for Oregonians. And it should be a little bit cooler today, but we are going to be having a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And I can't believe it is already Memorial Day. So I see you're typing in. Some of you have the questions, some of you have the chat. I can see both. So if you have questions today as we go along, feel free to type in either area. And I want to make sure and put that link up there again. It's in your chat box that you can click on. It just takes you to a little URL and you can download the session from today. You don't need to, because I am going to be controlling the slides and moving everything as we go along. So I think we are looking good as far as you all knowing what to do. If you want to turn up your speakers, you can. If you're listening on your computer, for those of you who are calling in on your phone, well, you know how to turn up the volume on that. So let's get started. I have with me today Garrett Griffin, and Garrett is the National Non-Delegated Correspondent Sales Manager. He has over 32 years of mortgage industry experience. His previous experience prior to joining Finance of America includes over 17 years as a regional manager at Flagstar Bank, where he helped to introduce and launch the non-delegated correspondent business channel. And I can tell you, I had an opportunity to work with Garrett several days last week in his hometown of Dallas, Texas, on creating a lot of NDC training, and the depth of his knowledge of the NDC channel is absolutely phenomenal. So his passion equaled, and he's truly committed to helping mortgage professionals evolve into the correspondent lender that they may want to be, and for those that are NDCs, help them to be able to increase their profitability and efficiency. So I'm very excited to be able to work with Garrett today on this webinar and to share the information. And we're going to actually be doing this as kind of a back and forth in a Q&A session. And I'm going to tee up questions for Garrett, and he's going to share his experience. So Garrett, welcome. I know you are at the Texas Mortgage Bankers Association conference right now, so thanks for stepping out and joining us.
Good morning, Ginger, and good morning or good afternoon to all of the attendees. I'm very privileged to have the opportunity to visit with you today.
Very good. So Garrett, I'm going to start out with our very first question, and that is, what are the benefits today for doing business as an NDC?
You know, Ginger, that's probably one of the most common questions that I get asked. And there's a lot of benefits, the biggest one being control. The non-delegated correspondent has control of the process from application through loan purchase, specifically from the timing of issuing a loan estimate in their name through drawing the closing documents and dispersing in their name. One of the big ones is branding. Often as I'm visiting with customers in the marketplace, there seems to be a growing trend that people want to have the perception of dealing with a quote-unquote direct lender. And being a non-delegated correspondent, of course, gives you the opportunity to brand yourself as a direct lender. And it helps build long-term relationships with your referral partners because you have more control of the transaction, because you're branding yourself as a direct lender, that you have the opportunity to build relationships. Like, we didn't put it on here, but it's a big help for recruiting mortgage loan officers. We find in today's market that mortgage loan officers are attracted to doing business with direct lenders for some of the reasons we'll go into a little later in the presentation. Our non-delegated correspondents have greater flexibility in disclosure. They have greater flexibility in handling appraisals. They have greater flexibility in controlling the closing process. And that translates to a better, more effective platform to grow your business. And finally, non-delegated correspondents have tremendous flexibility in a comp plan because they do not have a direct comp plan with the investor. The comp plan is strictly between ownership and the loan officers, and that gives them the flexibility to structure virtually any deal they want to with a variety of fee options available in the marketplace. So those are the primary NDC benefits. There's more, but for the scope of this conversation, those are the highlights.
Perfect. And I think really, you know, from our time we spent together last week, Garrett, one of the things that I really gleaned away is one of the biggest benefits is really having that control, flexibility that builds into the branding. So for them to be able to build their business, as you said, to attract new LOs, but also to build those long-term relationships. And I think that's one of the key factors when you're looking at becoming an NDC. So what should an investor look for what should an NDC look for in an investor?
You know, they need to evaluate, does my investor have a long-term commitment to the non-delegated correspondent channel? And is there support and resources in place to help nurture the non-delegated correspondent, whether they be new or an experienced one? They need to have a flexibility in terms of products and in terms of flexibility in offering a wide variety of solutions for closing. Being able to support, and we'll get into that in more detail later, but being able to support all mechanisms for closing loans. They need to have a complete product array that enables the NDC to close as much business as is available to them in the business channel. And finally, they need a knowledgeable management team and a knowledgeable sales support team that understands their business channel and understands how to facilitate a smooth process from application through loan purchase.
Which is so important to tie all of those together, and having that mix of product is very important. But not only having the products, but having that the commitment as far as a knowledgeable staff, especially if you have an NDC that's just getting started as an NDC, so they can help through, you know, you can help through that process as well. So, you know, culture is so important within an organization, and many of our NDCs that are on this call have their own culture within their own company. And I know FAM has a very strong culture, and I'm excited for you to share with us what the FAM culture is.
You know, Ginger, that's probably the most exciting thing about my job. As I was looking around for a home, and I've been in the business for quite some time, over 32 years, I can tell you that our core values are customers first, last, and always. And let me tell you what that means. From the top down, from our president all the way down through any of our customer service reps, anybody dealing with our customers. I would tell you that we understand that our paychecks may say Finance of America, but our ultimate employer is each and every customer, whether it be a wholesale broker or a non-delegated correspondent. Because if we're not providing the very best customer experience in the industry on each and every transaction, we candidly will not be employed. And so this company, the sales team, the management team, the underwriting team, the closing team, the purchase team, everybody on board places customers first, last, and always.
And I love that. Yeah, it does. It does say it all. So give us a little bit, for those of you on the call who may not know about Finance of America, just kind of a quick little 20-second overview of the history of FAM.
Well, the mortgage company was started in 1994, but the current management team really went into place in about 2008. Probably one of the most important things to know, while we're independent, we're backed by Blackstone. And in today's volatile industry that we're in, having a very strong capital partner, which is over $360 billion in market capitalization, means that we're in a position to make decisions and have someone behind us for the long term. There's a lot of people that come in and out of the marketplace, and candidly, we're in a capital position where that's not going to be necessary for Finance of America. We're obviously a direct Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie Mae seller servicer. We offer a comprehensive non-delegated correspondent channel that purchases closed loans from lenders in all 50 of the states that we're approved in. We work with non-delegated correspondents, community banks, credit unions, independent mortgage bankers, and we are currently offering to conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA or FHA approved sellers.
Perfect. And I know you're licensed in all 50 states and are currently employing 3,000 plus employees. So tell us about your operation centers, because I know you have a few of them across the country.
I believe that we're positioned to provide the FAM culture and customer experience in virtually every market. Each one of the centers, the majority of centers have underwriting in them, a closing team in them, and customer service representatives in them. And as you can see from the slide, we're positioned across the country. Again, we believe that we've got to provide the best customer experience in the industry for the non-delegated correspondent. We understand that they have choices. There's a lot of competitors in the marketplace, some of which do a good job, and we feel that we've got to earn it on each and every loan by simply being the best customer experience they've done business with.
Right. Now, you talked a little bit earlier about the management team and philosophy when you talked about customers first, last, and always. So tell us a little bit about the management team you have in place.
Well, Dave Strickland is our current president, and he's got over 24 years of experience, has run mortgage companies. Again, his passion is, are we doing the best job for the customers that we have and for customers that we want to do business with? Terry Butman's our national sales manager. Just a privilege and a delight to work with her. She truly understands that customers first, last, and always. Penny is our divisional, Penny Smith's our divisional in the eastern part of the country. She's got a tremendous amount of experience. Again, I've had the opportunity to work with her, visit her office, and she believes in keep putting their customers on a pedestal and providing the best experience. And finally, I've been doing this for a long time. My passion is helping customers evolve from being a mortgage broker into being a non-delegated correspondent. And in the time I've been doing it, I can sincerely say that I can't think of anyone that's converted to a non-delegated that has to go back to a broker. There's been a couple of instances where they had to because of capitalization issues they had, but the vast majority have moved forward and grown and love the business channel. So the person that was the previous kind of president was Robert Bolliard, and he's now been promoted to president of Finance of America Mortgage across all of our business channels. So again, everyone got here by appreciating that the customers are employed.
Exactly. That's so important. So, now that you've laid the foundation for us as far as the FAM culture, why don't you share with us what an NDC can expect when doing business with FAM?
Well, as you put on the slide, when I'm asked in person and I'm talking to existing non-delegated correspondents or potential, I will say the rubber has to meet the road in three critical components. One, we have to provide not just a good, but a phenomenal customer experience in underwriting. Our customers need direct access so that they don't get into condition ping pong by email, so that we can get a loan clear to close and ready for documents to go out. We've got to provide flexibility for documents to ensure an on-time closing using every available methodology, whether it's the customer preparing it themselves, FAM providing documents, or using a third-party fulfillment provider. And finally, we've got to provide a quick and painless loan purchase. It's my firm belief that if we passionately meet all three areas, then we're going to be the investor of choice for our non-delegated correspondent customers.
So true, so true. So building on that then, let's talk about what it looks like as far as doing business with FAM.
So FAM is, non-delegated correspondent is a dedicated, committed business channel with specific resources that are allocated, including their own direct technology portal. We've got experienced and knowledgeable account executives and managers. Everyone from the top down supports and nurtures our non-delegated correspondent channels. And finally, we offer business support and ongoing training that we'll get into a little bit later to not only help our customers remain compliant, be effective, submit their loans properly to get the fastest execution, but we're going to be providing frontline sales support and other mechanisms through our FAMU to help customers grow their business dynamically.
So critical to everything as far as doing business today. So you talked a little bit about support. Let's kind of look at that, what you're talking about. I know you said the underwriting experience is critical in the foundation. So tell us what an NDC can expect.
Finance of America still has a direct communication model with underwriters. Our customers can call the underwriter directly or email the underwriter directly. One of the things and one of my passions is that I see in the market is, obviously as an underwriter is making a decision, there's going to be conditions that someone may or may not understand. So if they're clear cut, they're very easy, but occasionally there's those ones where there may be alternative documentation that clear a condition. And often our customers or potential customers are doing business with people, if they can't talk directly to the underwriter, they go into what I call email ping pong. So they're going back and forth with 8 or 10 emails over 36 to 48 hours.
It's so true.
When a 2-minute phone call would have resolved and provided an alternate, and then the conditions clear and you're down the road.
Right.
So that's why we passionately believe in all of our centers and all of our lines of business that our customers are able to talk directly to underwriters. We have a very easy to use upload process for conditions. They can either upload the conditions as a single document, or they can upload a multi-document, and we'll index those again to the underwriters. We have dedicated non-delegated correspondent underwriters that are specifically trained to underwrite non-delegated correspondent files. While the basic credit decision is the same, what's critical is that the underwriting decision has to be focused on providing a simple loan purchase. So we want any condition that could materially affect a credit decision to be cleared prior to documents going out. So there's no prior to funding conditions at the table that would need to be met that could materially affect the time frame on getting a loan purchase. And again, that's important. So again, direct communication, easy to upload process, dedicated underwriters, and a focused approval process to eliminate lengthy loan purchases.
So critical. You know, so much is weighed on compliance these days. So tell me about the support that an NDC can expect as far as, especially if an NDC is just getting started on the loan estimate.
Right. Whether it be a new NDC or an existing NDC that's just coming into partnership with Finance of America, because we have such a robust wholesale channel, right, we've obviously got a team of dedicated experts for auditing and preparing loan estimates. And so all of our operations centers are willing for any non-delegated customer, if they want us to, and we'd like to preview their LE and audit it, if you will, for compliance, we're more than happy to do that. And so that provides additional peace of mind. There are people in the space, we have a multitude of competitors that absolutely will not do that for their non-delegated customers. And I think it provides peace of mind that we have a trained, committed, expert staff that is more than happy to review that loan estimate for compliance and give peace of mind that that transaction can go forward and that it's going to be compliant.
Exactly. It's critical in the market we're in today. So in addition to the audit support, tell me about the FANNIE Mae compatibility.
Obviously, we have direct compatibility with desktop originator or underwriter. They can choose us in their drop-down and run their own findings and simply transfer them to us. We also are set up so that our customers can go on the UDCP portal and give us direct access to the collateral underwriting report, which We believe that obviously if the score is 3 or better, we're not going to be asking for appraisal conditions, and having direct access to that is important. And while we support Fannie Mae compatibility, we also have Freddie Mac compatibility with Loan Prospector and their collateral system.
Perfect. Now, Garrett, you and I spent some time last week talking about one of the best advantages as far as being an NDC, and that's the appraisal process. And I always say occasionally I live in Oregon, but we have one of the toughest states right now as far as getting appraisals done. And there's several other I know, but we just have such a shortage of appraisers. But then having that relationship with that AMC is so important. So let's talk about that as far as the appraisal process.
Well, living in the great state of Texas, this is a hot issue for me.
Right.
What I have found, both where I live and really nationally, is there are times that regional AMCs have a better and a more responsive appraisal panel. And the non-delegated correspondent, as long as they've given us their AIR policies and procedures, we give them what we call AIR independence. And that simply means that they can order their appraisal from any AIR compliant AMC. That lets the non-delegated correspondent have control of the collateral. They can establish a relationship with someone in their market that they know has the panel of appraisers that they're happy with, the service level and pricing that they're happy with, and they are the AMC's direct customer again. And
right.
So we feel that that's a real advantage in the marketplace to be able to have 1 or 2 options. Now, FAM has a pretty robust panel themselves. There's some really good AMCs in our list. And so if a customer chooses to use, they can go into our portal and choose any of our approved AMCs today. That will be ordered in their name as the lender, and they have that as well. So they can either manage they can either develop a relationship independent with their own AMC, or they can use any of the FAM approved AMCs. We'll close this so they'll have a compliant appraisal in their name. But in a purchase environment, it's just mission critical to have the best quality appraisal work that's available, and we feel AIR independence is the way to help our customers achieve that. Again, you're talking about that's part of the brand of being the independent mortgage banker, direct lender, is being able to brand and control the appraisal process. I think it's a giant value proposition, and we fully support it.
Right. Well, and it goes back to that control that you led into at the beginning of the webinar. So I also know FAM's very committed to support and training and technology, and one of those is built off of FAM Platinum. So if you want to kind of talk about some of the key features there.
FAM Platinum is our technology portal to our customers, and it covers everything from announcements, help, training materials, pricing and submission, rate sheets, pricing policy, our seller's guide, program guidelines, forms, and user maintenance. And I would tell you that while it's robust, it's very straightforward. It doesn't take a lot of time to train and get to know our portal. If you've been a wholesale customer, the usability mirrors the wholesale side. And it's very interesting. I was talking to an NDC here in Texas that was doing business with a competitor, and they said, there's some competitors that have front-end systems that they liken to a Ferrari. But they said the thing we like about Finance of America is your technology is the F-250. It's a dependable, sturdy, working truck that we know gets us from point A to point B with a great reliability. So I love that. FAM Platinum is the F-250 of the mortgage technology business.
Yeah, built to last and works. Gets the job done. I love that.
Built to last and Ford tough, right?
Very good. So, with that, providing great information on the foundation, but one of the things that you talked about was closing control. And so what does FAM offer for closing flexibility for an NDC?
The NDC customer can utilize whatever closing methodology best meets their needs. And we're going to go into what those are in just a minute. But basically, we accommodate every possible permutation and option for closing the loans. In a purchase market, I've been doing this a long time. And in the 32 years that I've been doing this, I have never gotten a phone call from a real estate agent that said, Garrett, I want to tell you what an awesome job you did underwriting and processing my loan. I understand our closing is delayed. I've never gotten that phone call.
Right.
We've got to be able to deliver timely closings on time, and by putting that control directly in the hands of the non-delegated correspondent, they can even have redundancy with a couple of different methods to make sure they can accommodate every closing on time when it's supposed to happen.
So let's look at some of those options, because I know that really is a true advantage as an option for NDCs, depending on where they're coming into the market or even where they are as far as their business, because they may have one person that can handle closing and then they go on vacation. So they need to be able to kind of have some options in switching back and forth and managing their business, right?
Yeah, you know, that's in my experience, in my 32 years, it's been my experience that closers get sick and want to take vacation the last week of the month.
Right, right.
And so, you know, being able to have redundancy, I think, is important. But we support the option the lender can prepare the closing documents. Obviously, their warehouse provider has to approve them being able to do that, you know, and they need someone on site that's got somewhat experience in preparing a closing disclosure and closing documents. But we do support lender-prepared closing documents. They can use a third-party fulfillment provider that provides a variable cost solution that outsources the compliance liability for that to the third party. And then finally, they could choose FAM Express, which is a FAM closing specialist preparing the documents on their behalf.
Perfect. So let's look at each of these options, starting with the lender-prepared closing document process. What does that look like?
You know, again, this is someone that's got some experience in the space. They're directly approving their closing documents. We typically are going to want to take a look to make sure they know what they're doing, as well as the warehouse lender. You know, the advantages is obviously there's no fee to us for closing documents. It's just whatever it costs them internally to prepare the documents. They do carry some lender liability for closing document accuracy. Obviously, if a mistake has been made and they've prepared it, then they have to stand behind it. And, you know, they need an experienced closer, funder, shipper, and post-closer to accommodate the entire loan, the entire process. But they do have complete control from inception to loan purchase in the process. They have a higher degree of control because it's their team preparing their documents. And then, you know, we allow them to use any approved document preparation system, which, you know, we are in the majority of the largest ones in the marketplace.
Right. So the next option you had was a third-party fulfillment providers process. So tell me about that.
You know, I like the third-party fulfillment provider, especially if you're a new NDC. And these are companies that basically provide a variable cost outsourced solution. That's a fancy way of saying you pay as you go, right? It's a loan-by-loan fee that's passed through directly to the borrower. There is reduced liability because it's passed through to the provider. The provider then they're preparing the documents, they're taking ownership of independent validation of those fees to the settlement provider. The customer, of course, has no additional employees or fixed expenses, right? Again, they're paying loan by loan. And it's a cradle-to-grave solution with document preparation, wire order, funding authorization, and settlement, post-closing through loan purchase. So they're going to take over from the time to clear the close and prepare the documents, order the wire, authorize disbursement of the settlement agent. And there's a couple of steps in there that have to be followed to make sure that you've got a compliant loan that you've let the money go live on. And then they're going to get that package, stack it, ship it, and deliver it. And if there's any outstanding conditions for loan purchase, they're going to coordinate to get those in for a timely loan purchase. So again, they provide a cradle and grave solution. Some warehouse facilities, depending on who they are and the network of the customer and their experience level, may mandate the use of a third-party fulfillment provider. And you know, pricing is going to vary in the marketplace, approximately $400 to $600, depending on the provider and the scope of services.
Perfect. And then finally, you talked about FAM Express. So tell us about what that option is.
Obviously, you know, because we have a robust wholesale operation, we're preparing closing docs today for our table funded customers. So that same team, right, with specialists for non-delegated correspondent, knows all things about FAM. They're issuing the closing documents on FAM's clear to close. So some of our customers already have existing relationships with the sales team and that purchase team and the closing team, and they're getting the same folks through the process. So there's some continuity there. Obviously, we provide some automation in ordering the CD and closing docs online. We'll issue an early CD at basically an initial loan equivalent once an appraisal is received. There's a simple $320 document service fee for that we net fund at time of purchase for FAM Express. And, we have the ability for customized closing docs instructions for the NDC lender in each of their warehouse relationships. So we can set that up to accommodate their business flow with each of their warehouse banks. So again, it's an internal team that already knows our process, our purchase conditions, our clear to close. And for some customers, that's going to be a really good and solid option.
Absolutely. And again, it's all about having that control. So we've made it through the entire process as far as explaining from the beginning all the way through a loan actually going through closing. Let's talk about a timely loan purchase. Why is that so important?
In the non-delegated correspondent world, all the warehouse facilities are going to net fund the transaction. And what that means is they're going to deduct out. They're only going to send enough money to the table to consummate the transaction. So they're going to net out interest, obviously the interest being paid on the loan brought by the borrower, escrows, any money's established the escrow account, and fees, including any and all fees to the non-delegated correspondent. So effectively, all of the profit and all of the fees are recognized by the non-delegated correspondent at loan purchase. So because of the net funding model that's currently in place, if you don't get the loan purchase quickly, the customer's not going to recognize any of their profits until time of loan purchase. And that can put some squeeze on them, as we'll get into in a little more detail in a second.
Exactly. And Garrett, too, we are getting a couple questions in, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes. I'm not going to break your stride right now, but I do want to talk about, because you're talking about timing and profits and obviously being able to get those loans off the line. How does that impact the NDC? What can that impact as far as what's happening in the process?
Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow.
Right.
Right. The bottom line is a slow purchase can cripple the NDC's cash flow. Again, 100% of his profit is tied up until loan purchase. And so, additionally, most non-delegated correspondents will have a finite amount of warehouse capacity. So the nightmare come true is an investor takes 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks to purchase a loan, and the majority of their warehouse capacity is tied up. Now it's getting towards the end of the month, and they've got purchases that have to close, and they don't have enough warehouse line capacity. So the more times they can turn that line, and that's basically turning the line means getting one funded through the warehouse line and then purchase off so the capacity is realigned, right? It ties up their warehouse line capacity. It obviously, as I just shared, you have possible inability to fund loans at the end of the month. The line's completely tied up. Another one is loan officers are generally not paid until loan purchase because the profit in the loan is tied up until loan purchase. And finally, if the loan purchase if we get to what I would term a more, I don't want to say catastrophic, but a significant delay, there's possible warehouse penalties and interest fees for delayed loan purchases.
So it's all tied around, as you said, that cash flow, keeping things moving, funds available, and getting it off the warehouse line, which is so critical. How does FAM participate in that? What's the closing process at FAM?
The manager of our purchase department is Catherine Liang, who has years and years and years of industry experience, including running a very large purchase department prior to coming to Finance of America. We review, unless we receive the closed loan package at like 5 o'clock Pacific time, we're reviewing everything the same day that it comes in. So we're going to review it, and then we're going to send out any conditions same day. When conditions are submitted, they're reviewed within 24 hours. We're purchasing loans right now between 2 and 4 days, just depending on how good the packages that we get. Conditions are reviewed, again, within 24 hours. One of the big things that we do in our purchase process is we have what we call a wet collateral process. I'm going to teach everybody on the call about wet collateral. There are some competitors in the marketplace that don't use wet collateral. What that means is their warehouse facilities, that the funds that they use to purchase their loans, require the use of a third-party custodian for the collateral that has to clear and approve the collateral prior to the ability to purchase the loan. And so typically that third-party custodian is going to want to see not just the note. All we require is either an endorsed note or a note in the allowance, and we can buy your loan. The people that use a third-party custodian, they want the note, the allowance, they want name affidavits, they want to see the security instrument, they want to see preliminary title, and a couple of other minor documents. So now you're looking at, you've got to send it to a third party, so you're probably going to lose the day there. They're going to take a day or so to get into review it, so you can be looking at 3 or 4 days there to get the collateral cleared, assuming they find everything and it's all sent at one time. And again, because we use a wet collateral process, all we need is the note, the endorsed note, or the note in the allowance, and we can purchase the loan immediately. We have a phenomenal communication model with our purchase team. They'll either call directly or it's done by email, but there is direct access to the purchase team, just like there is with the underwriters. And again, they can communicate directly by telephone or email. So again, it's the same thing. Like, you got to have a customer, you got to provide a phenomenal customer experience in loan purchase, just like you did in underwriting. But it's critical in the loan purchase area, because no money equals no purchase equals no profits. No profits equal inability to pay loan officers, which equals grumpy originators to work for your company, right?
Exactly. So critical. So again, we are getting questions in, and we are going to get to them in just a minute, but I want to kind of touch on some of the other technologies and benefits. And you talked about, that strong and sturdiness of what FAM offers, but you do offer so much as far as being able to provide support services and technology to the NDC. So you want to highlight on some of those?
One of the ones that I'm most proud of is, and it continues to grow and innovate and get better, is FAMU. And that's our direct training portal that provides videos and step-by-steps on, for instance, FHA, VA, USDA, our technologies, doing business with us, specific videos on non-delegated correspondent, and more coming. I think you know the person that very well, Ginger, that actually developed that, don't you?
Yes. It has been a delight to be able to have the opportunity to develop FAMU, and I'm very proud of the fact that Finance of America is the very first wholesale lender to be able to provide a dedicated online 24/7 portal to train and educate their clients and really the industry. So that's, to me, it says so much about who FAM is and their culture and commitment to really being able to build that foundation and to build it through training. So yes, I'm very blessed to be able to have an opportunity to have a hand in that.
So, in addition to a dedicated portal in FAMU, we have a very simple and straightforward delivery system. It's easy to use, quick, dependable. We talked about, we have the ability to audit and LE and our compliance experts in the ops centers to give peace of mind to our customers. And finally, we provide real-time loan status via the portal. So you can see in real time when the file was picked up, when it was underwritten, what conditions were received, when it's approved, again, in real time. So, again, it's about an all-in value proposition, and these are some of the big components in the FAM value proposition.
Right. So let's look at that, because here's an example of some of the resource tools that FAM provides.
Again, and we've got resources in the portal with product descriptions, with guides. We provide marketing material. We've got flyers. And FAMU continues to grow and offer more benefits with coming enhancements with industry experts that can help our customers grow their business. So again, FAMU, there's up here some of the training modules, which in this example are VA Plus and VA loan training. Again, that takes customers step by step through the process for, again, conventional FHA, VA, USDA. We can provide on-demand, point-of-sale, 24/7 training. It's very easy to use, keeps the customers current, and helps them grow their business.
Very good. So let's round this out, and then I'm going to take a couple questions before we actually close out with contact information of how to get started. But, really, in just a few, short sentences, Garrett, what sets FAM apart from other investors?
We talked about it. One of the very best purchase teams in the industry. Average purchase time, purchase is 48 to 72 hours right now. A total commitment from management from the top down to the correspondent lending channel, and phenomenal flexibility to help our partners grow their business.
Which is so important. And then, of course, what steps should someone take who wants to get started with FAM?
Well, depending if they want to get the non-delegated correspondent channel, right? Talk to their sales professional if they're a current customer. If you're thinking about becoming a non-delegated correspondent with me, it would be my distinct privilege to help you in any way, shape, or form, whether you do business with us or not, to consult with you on the steps necessary to create a profitable and compliant non-delegated business channel. That's my cell phone number. It's up there right now. I'm talking on it. I generally will return phone calls same day, unless I'm tied up in a meeting or an event. There's my email. It's never an interruption. I eat, breathe, sleep, and dream NDC. So if you have any, interest, I'm here for you. I want to help you in any way possible.
Yes, and I know that is so true, Garrett, after having the opportunity to spend time with you. And that will be coming out. So Garrett and I have been developing some additional NDC trading material that will be available in the FAMU portal within the next probably 30 to 60 days. We'll have that out. But I want to go to some questions. So the very first question, Garrett, is, can a broker start as a NDC, a pilot, if you will, with 1 to 2 loans and still do brokered loans at the same time? And then once they get used to the process, turn move more into being a full NDC?
The answer is absolutely yes. In fact, FAM, one of the things that we do that's very unique, we allow our customers, so you still keep your wholesale credentials and have access to that, and then you have your NDC credentials, and you can still do wholesale loans with us at the same time you're doing your NDC. But absolutely, we can get you hooked up with some warehouse facilities that specialize with the converting broker to NDC, and have just absolutely phenomenal technology to keep you compliant and give you the support you need, and are engineered for that transition. But I'm going to warn you, if you do that, it's like me giving away free samples of crack cocaine, right? It's a dangerous value proposition.
Well, and that really goes into the control. So I have a question here, a couple questions I'm going to actually give to you and have you email back, because they're a little more detailed as far as particular scenarios. But, one of the questions is for someone getting started with FAM, does the warehouse lender that they're using have to be approved with FAM?
It's really the other way around. FAM has to be approved by the warehouse lender.
Right.
And normally that's a very quick process. All I need to do is get the contact. We have a pretty robust list that we can make available to you of warehouse and banks that we're already approved with. If we're not currently approved, it's normally very simple. We've got a package that we have prepared for those warehouse facilities. They execute a non-disclosure agreement, get our financials. We have very strong financials. We have not been turned down. Every warehouse facility has approved us that we've asked. Let's put it that way. So,
right.
But there's a good chance we may already be approved. So we don't have to approve the warehouse line. We'll accept any warehouse line that's willing to use FAM as an in-loan investor.
Perfect. And so that process then really, as far as getting started with FAM, is a matter of, especially for our NDC, so for an existing NDC, whether they are a community bank or a credit union, because I know that is an area that is a lot of community banks and credit unions look to FAM for providing that NDC support, because of offering additional products that they can't bring to their members. But for NDCs that are looking to get started with FAM, is there, and I don't want to get into too many details because it's probably a conversation, but, what's the very first step? They already have a warehouse lender, so contact you, find out if the warehouse lender is already approved a FAM to be able to do business, and then go from there. Like, what's the time frame if somebody's, wanting to say, hey, I'm ready to go?
One of the things that's been one of the most refreshing things I've seen in a long time is we actually, just like the purchase team reviews loan purchases within 24 hours, once we get a package in from a customer, it's reviewed within 24 hours, and conditions are typically reviewed in 24 hours. So I'm seeing NDC, I'm seeing the whole process for approval with a complete application take as fast as 24, but typically 48 to 72 hours, and that's for any lag time to get a condition or so sent in. But it's one of the most efficient, effective departments, and I'm proud of that because that's the first taste of Finance of America services that our customers see. So it's a quick, easy, painless approval process. It's a matter of simply getting hold of us, getting an application and the necessary information so you can provide the support documentation, and we can move forward to accommodate you very quickly.
Very good. And just generally, what are the requirements to be an NDC?
We want to see $100,000. Typically, as an NDC, we want to see $100,000 tangible net worth. Those are not audited financial statements. They're typically prepared by our customers as compilation. They're going to be required to have us, obviously, an approved warehouse facility with at least $1 million. Subsequently, we're going to want to see errors, E&O, errors and admissions, and fidelity bond. That's a requirement by the warehouse bank. We just need to see a copy of it. We want them to provide us a copy of their error policies and procedures if they want error independence. And then there's a few other fairly simple, straightforward documentation requirements. But those are the biggest in terms of the global requirements to be an NDC at Finance of America. Right.
And so we're getting some questions in, Garrett, talking about really, what kind of products an NDC can generate as an NDC and what they need to broker. And so I'm going to split this question into two. So as an NDC and if they don't have their DE, can they run FHA as an NDC, or do they broker their FHA?
So the eligible loan types for a typical NDC are going to be conventional, VA, and USDA. And then they will continue to wholesale or broker their FHA loans.
Perfect. So that was the other question, was the VA. So conventional USDA VA is what you run under the NDC, and then FHA then you broker. So it doesn't change anything as far as being able to still offer a wide variety of products. It just it allows you to be able to have that control on those particular products.
Right. You know what? We understand that our non-delegated correspondents are viciously independent creatures, right? And they're entrepreneurial. And so, you don't have to give up it's not you decide to be NDC and then that's all you are. You still can have investor relationships. Most of the customers that convert NDC because of the additional control evolve to where they try to do as much business as they can in the NDC channel, but they still have a vibrant wholesale offering for their FHA business, and we do a tremendous job with that.
Right. And I'm going to ask one more question. We do have some other questions coming in, and for those of you who I'm not able to get to all your questions, I'm sending Garrett the questions. We do have your contact information, so he'll be getting back with you on those specific questions. But the final question has to do with FAM Express, so really drummed up some interest on that. Garrett, is it up and running right now?
It's going to be up and running. The technology and infrastructure is in place. We're going live right now, customer by customer. So yes, it is being offered, but it kind of depends on what part of the country you're in. For instance, on the West Coast, we have the ability to bring customers in right away, and more are being added all the time.
Right, and that really has to do with just a lot of educating and making sure that all those elements are in place. You're working with closing, title, escrow, attorney states, things like that. But I know that that you move very quickly at FAM, so I anticipate that will be across the country in a relatively short period of time.
And let me talk a little about that. So, obviously in a wholesale loan, that's closing in our name, right?
Right.
So those variables don't change, right? For FAM Express, for NDC, that closing solution has to be customized for each lender, right? Because they're all going to have slightly different wiring instructions and warehouse facilities, and the way the way they want things named. So again, each NDC account it's not. I don't want to say it's a huge amount of time or work, but there is some individual setup time and information that we have to get per account so that we can offer a comprehensive FAM Express product offering.
Absolutely. Very good. So, Garrett, thank you so much. Just a wealth of information. I know that, we could go on and on just for hours talking about so many different areas of NDC. But we are going to be providing some additional training. We are recording this webinar, so if there's somebody in your office or a friend of yours who did not have an opportunity to attend, we will be sending that out as a recording, and it will be available on the FAMU portal as well. And so you can access all the information at FAM Wholesale. Talk to your FAM account executive. If you don't have one, please contact Garrett, and he'll be happy to help you out as well. You can register at FAMU at the FAM Wholesale. Just click on the training link and ask for a code, or talk to your account executive about that. And as always, we thank you so much for joining us in our webinar today. And I wish you a very safe and happy holiday coming up. It's hard to believe summer's beginning. And Garrett, I hope you have a great show at the Texas MBA. Tell everyone I said howdy.
Thank you, Ginger. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Thanks to everybody for joining the call.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.